our Senior Director of Product Management at Oracle, and he's going to do a demo and quick preview of Oracle Analytics Mobile. Jack, I'm going to stop to share, and you can take it from here.
Okay. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to share my screen here. Hopefully, I've started doing this thing that is sort of new, which is sharing multiple devices. Me in this demo. So what we wanted to show off today is
Jack, I think your webcam freeze and we cannot see your screen.
I just Zoom just crashed on me. Hang on, I'm gonna.
Okay, no worries.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, but
hello.
We cannot see the screen right now. And maybe Jacques.
All right, I just.
Okay, perfect.
Sorry, Zoom is crashing. All right, one more time.
Okay.
Share my screen. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, perfect.
Can you still see my screen? All right,
yeah,
can you see my screen wiggle a little bit? Okay. All right, so as I was saying, I'm trying a new app where I can share multiple devices. It sounds like it might already be betraying me. So what we're going to demo today is an app that's forthcoming in, I'd say, in a couple of months, this spring, effectively. And the intent for this app is to really allow end users or OAC users OAC users to access their existing content in OAC and just have a sort of a consistent experience with what they have in their browser or on the desktop. This is by no means, I saw a question already asking if this is replacing day by day. The intent is not to replace day by day. This is more to complement day by day. Day by day continues to be focused on more collaborative, sort of social analytics experience. Admittedly, a little bit more of a forward-thinking approach to analytics versus this is a more classic. You have an IT department, you have a set of people curating content for the masses, and this is a way for them to access this in a familiar way. So I'm going to sort of show you at the same time what this looks like on my phone versus my tablet. So the intent here is so for people to have a fully native experience on their mobile device. So like any other app, it's going to be nice and fast and zippy and fluid, but still it's going to be optimized for a phone, but still super familiar. So you can tap on your favorites, just like on the desktop. You can find specific projects. If you're an administrator, I'm logged in as somebody with super user privileges right now, so I can actually access my data sets directly. For consumers, maybe that tab wouldn't show up. And then if you wanted to look at sort of classic content from the classic answers and dashboards, you would have a list of your BI publisher, your answers, dashboards, and let me go ahead and fire one up. Now, when this ships, we will have automatic SSO, so you won't have to log in twice. Now, when you're accessing classic content, it's still limited to a web experience, if you will, which is pretty much what you're experiencing today. But this lets you at least view and interact with your classic content, change your prompts and filters, and that'll work just fine with your dashboards as well. But where this app really comes into its own is when you're looking at projects themselves. So let me go ahead here. Of course, search works perfectly. So if I want to search on sales related content, I just type sales, pretty straightforward. Of course, that works on both platforms. Now, if I want to open a specific report, let me go ahead and try to bring one up that I think looks good. Let's go ahead and open this all charts demo. So this will show you, let me open it up on this as well. So it's fetching a whole bunch of data across my slow network. And you're going to see sort of two slightly different experiences, hopefully, when this comes back. Here we go. So here we've got effectively a more traditional dashboard that will actually mimic almost perfectly how it looks on the desktop. So if you were to open this on your on your desktop browser. We really tried hard to make sure that we would honor the author's intent, so that if somebody spent some time lining up pixels on the desktop because people want to see things exactly the same way, then we will honor that on the tablet. Of course, we can do that because it's a much more consistent form factor with your desktop screens. Now, on a phone here, where we sort of do some adaptive work. So for the same content, what we'll do is, rather than having a complex layout like we have here on the tablet, we're going to have a tray here where you can switch your vises to the other visualizations. Whoops, I keep hitting the wrong button there. And then do, of course, the exact same interactions. You can change your canvases by going to the top here in that little icon, whereas in the tablet, the canvas is over here on the left. We now have support for 24 new chart types. So for those of you who are accustomed to some of our other native apps, we have limited chart support. You can see that we will support most of the common chart types, but more importantly, most of the common chart type options. So things like combo charts, having different, like, for example, sized bars. So I'm looking at the wrong one, but things like this, where you've got the size of the bar varies based on some third measure. Anyways, the intent here, and of course support for geospatial, and that's pretty straightforward, but this is a brand new capability that we didn't have. Now, the good news is all of these charts will be shared with Day by Day. So all of the work that we've done in terms of visualizations for this new app, we're going to be sharing the same charting engine with, see, it's still a little fragile, but we'll be sharing the same engine with Day by Day as well. One point of note here is that on the phone, let me go ahead, you can actually switch to the layout that I'm flipping. Let me bring my phone to the front here, so we can actually flip to what we call the desktop or project layout. So this will shrink down the screen to actually fit on my phone, and then this again will replicate what we call the desktop layout. Now on a phone, this is, to be completely honest with you all, this is sort of it's almost like too small really to be usable, in my opinion. Most people want to use their phone in portrait mode, and of course in portrait mode, that just shrinks down to too small. So you can go ahead and request that the system switch to what we call the mobile layout, and then your charts sort of appear sideways like that. So those, I know I only have 10 minutes, so I'm going real quick. One last thing that's kind of fun. One thing of note here is, if you have a project that uses a capability that we don't have a native equivalent on the phone, such as this report here, the system will say, hey, there's a little bit of a compatibility setting problem. So for example, you might have a Gantt chart. Gantt charts are not supported for now on the phone. You might have a custom visualization that you developed in-house. So in those instances, you can actually hit just web, and then normally you would not have to log in, but just because I'm doing this demo live, jacques.vichon@oracle.com, and I'll let you see my password, and if I type that right. So for those instances where we don't have 100% sort of 100% parity on in the native experience, we'll actually open it up in a web browser inside the app itself. Now, next time you can actually open it natively, and then we just won't render the one artifact that we didn't support. So you can still use it. And of course, you can say, remember my choice. So the next time you do that, it'll just do whatever you chose. So here you can see that one of these charts, one of these charts, it wasn't able to render natively. The last little demo I like to do, just because it's a little bit dorky and a whole lot of fun, is as I think Brendan demoed. It was the natural language generation capabilities. Now here I have a dashboard that's based on the Game of Thrones, right? So it's all about who killed who in which seasons on the Game of Thrones. And one of the capabilities we did, we thought, well, wouldn't it be great if you could actually tap and hold the project and say, hey, turn this DV project into a podcast. And I'm going to go ahead and turn that into a podcast. I'm going to say new, so it's going to get the latest data. And then I'm holding this next to my microphone. And then
we can't hear it.
It's not playing yet. It's generating
the
podcast. Give me a second here.
Death count by killer. The data represents the death count for a total of 129 killers. What stands out in this situation is that a few killers account for more than 80% of the total. There is a dominant group of killers. This group is composed of 8.
So anyways, as I keep joking, it's totally inappropriate demo, but for those Game of Thrones people out there, you can appreciate what it does. Now, to be clear, it's not just reading out charts and graphs, right? A lot of people could think that it's just reading, you've got graphs and it's saying in January you sold this, in February you sold that. It's actually not doing that. It's looking at the charts. It's coming up with the meaningful observations. Was this process steady? Do you have a peak in January? And it's going to make observations about that. It made an observation that 4 killers represent 80% of the deaths, right? It didn't just read the 100 killers. Anyways, so we're pretty proud of that. So that's a fun feature. I'll hand it back over to you.
Thank you very much, Jacques. So if you have any question on the mobile app, put them in the Q&A right now. You can also ask a ton of questions.